from KTRN, Total Talk Radio Network, newstalk614.com. We're broadcasting here live at the Flippin' Rigs Mobile Studios right next door to the Ohio State University's Don Scott Field. So, of course, as always, it is time to get your clock clean. Step on board. We got a lot of chatter out there from people. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything tonight. We're going to talk about Bill Cosbi. Not Crosby. I said it wrong. Not Bing, but Bill. Bill Cosbi. Cosby, baby. The Jello pudding, I say.
Give me some pudding balls.
Hey. Everybody listen what Bill's got to say. Well, we're going to talk about the lynching of Bill Cosbi. Now, one of the advantages that we have of having our brother Kaiser with us is he knows the law. I'm going to believe that he's probably filled out many warrants, paperwork, backing documentation for arrest and whatnot in his past. So I'm sure that he can go ahead and open up help go ahead and expose what has happened with Bill Cosbi, because everyone's dancing around saying, we got him. Oh, we got that bastard, didn't we? Uh-huh. No, you didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, the whole situation. Okay, I'm getting right now, bro.
Okay.
Anyways, it's cleared up now.
Okay, cool.
What I find funny is he didn't murder anybody. I don't know what the statute of limitations is in Pennsylvania, I believe, is where they actually tried him. So I couldn't tell you any of that. But what I do know is there's usually a statute of limitations. Yeah, he's creepy, whatever. But then there's also the thought that this could all be made up because, you got gold diggers, right? So I don't, like I said, the prosecutor, unless he was holding exculpatory evidence away, which I don't know. I wasn't privy to. I really didn't follow the case.
Right.
And I don't know how his defense played it, but to get a possible 30 years for something that happened in excess of 20-some years ago, I'm not quite clear how that works, folks.
So this is what I'm going to tell you. This is what has happened. Felicia Rashad, his TV wife, released the following statement today. Forget these women, she said. What you're seeing is the destruction of a legacy.
Right.
I think it's orchestrated.
I
don't know why or who's doing it, but it's the legacy thereafter. It's a legacy that's so important to the culture. So let me break this down for everybody. I got a bunch of these little busy nambots out here that I'm talking a bunch of trash all day, telling me how stupid I am and how I don't know of anything. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to keep my subject matter expert Kaiser over here off to the side. And ladies and gentlemen, my brother and I, we have many conversations, but this is going to be a good one tonight because because Kaiser's going to stop me when I'm wrong.
Right.
We stop each other. We don't think nothing of it. We throw the flag on the play. We walk it back 15 yards. We play the play again.
Right.
So this is how it's going to work. Whenever there's an allegation, if you're fortunate enough, you would have witnesses.
Right.
Witnesses are people who saw or had knowledge of, saw the victim before, during, or after said crime.
Right.
Am I off base?
No, you're completely correct. And when they brought in women that supposedly claimed he had done the same thing to them, I'm like, I don't think I've ever, even if somebody's gotten multiple things, I don't think I've seen that, except for like if it's it's a capital crime, but to bring
hang tight here just a second.
But to bring
let me lay this out.
Well,
because I don't want my Stepford wives to be able to miss anything, because I have this huge theory, and you can go ahead and stop me at the end if I'm wrong, and then you can fill in any of the gaps I may have missed. Witnesses have knowledge of the victim before, during, or after
the crime. Right.
Said crime. Cool. Very good. Now, you have subject matter experts.
Yep.
Or forensic experts.
Yep.
Who was able to testify to the condition of the victim before, during, or after said crime. Also, these forensic experts in numerous fields, from psychiatric to physical evidence,
right,
to photographic evidence, the video evidence, they again are going to see this evidence before, during, or after.
Well, it wouldn't be before, but on the forensic stuff. But what you would get is, like, let's say the nurse who swabbed her would have to come and testify that, yes, that swab that had the DNA or the pubic hair that was taken from, the way they collect it with the comb and all that stuff, and make sure that the kit's initials were hers and it didn't get switched. I mean, if there's a mess on the dress, so he must confess. If that's happening, that's a key point. But see, that's the problem. I didn't follow the case, so I don't know if any of that happened. The only thing that made the news that I saw was 4 people who had made charges in the past, okay? But he had settled those cases for cash, right? And that could have just somebody trying to soil his name. But they were allowed to testify, just like they were a witness. And that's what I was trying to get at. Even though this is a capital case, it's really, I don't know, man. It just, something did not seem right on the prosecutorial side and on the defense side, because the defense attorney said they're going to appeal. But the thing that I see is, it still besmirched his name, and the prosecutor saying he had the availability to get on a plane and go anywhere. The man lives in America. I don't think he's a flight risk, and neither did the judge. The judge is like, you're released, man, for 90 days. We'll figure this out.
So this is what I'm going to tell you, though, and this is where this is all coming from. This is the sole black comedian, the multi-millionaire, who at every turn in his comedic career has absolutely railed and destroyed the Democrats in the plantation.
That's true.
And they so freaking hated him for it. Hated him, despised him, loathed him. Numerous threats have been made to him, he and his family. Numerous threats.
That's correct.
See, guys, I'm not making this up, but this is what I am going to tell you. And Kaiser did kind of touch where I was going with this, because Mrs. Dano and I started talking about this last night, and she was like, you don't understand. He did it. You don't understand. He did it. Get me a rape kit. Get me a police report. Prove to me that he did it beyond. And I'm not saying that all rape victims are liars, and I'm not saying that all rape victims are wrong.
Right.
Let's not go down that road, because I didn't say that.
Right, you didn't.
But what I am going to tell you, and Kaiser did touch on it, they let people testify under the definition of hearsay. Now, my dear brother, define hearsay according to the legal letter of the law that would be used in this courtroom or for any evidence that is presented. If it's hearsay, what's the definition of hearsay per Lady Justice?
Well, you can't have somebody who, let's say, well, I think he's done this in the past. He did it to me. It's his word against hers. No evidence on that one. If it's a multi-rapist, I have seen it where he's getting tried for all of them, and that was what was so odd on this one, is he's only getting tried for one, not all. What was it, 4 or 5 of the females that testified against him?
Absolutely.
And so that's hearsay evidence, and that is something that first the prosecutor's going to use anything he can slip by the judge. And the judge, like I said, I don't know all the facts of the case, but it just seemed odd to me. And that's all I'll say. And you're exactly right. It doesn't mean she's lying, but people do have their own agendas sometimes. And
so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up the phone line, 614-602-2169. My Stepford wives out there, the little chitty-chatty Cathy's out there. It's time for you. You can go ahead. You can call my phone. It's right here. and people will be able to see when it lights up. I'm not going to tell them your number, but this is your chitty chatty Cathy moment to be able to go ahead and berate me like you've tried to do online. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you next is happening. This has set an extremely dangerous legal precedent.
Yep.
Explain what legal precedent is for the audience, because I don't want to be misquoted in any way, shape, or form.
It's usually precedents normally, I mean, it does happen from lower courts, but normally the Supreme Court, when they hold something, and what that means, it's been held, it can be used in other courts, right? And it becomes the law of the land once it goes to the Supreme Court. But the precedent that's set in the lower court, until it's overturned upon appeal, you could see a flood of this kind of crap.
Now, guess what, Chatty Cathys out in Facebook land, the ones that like to berate me, and I'm looking at you, and I'm not afraid. Everyone knows who I am. You can't dox me. You can't bullshit me. You can't railroad me, and you by no means can ever freaking scare me, because I'm going to tell you something, kids. I dealt with Antifa before they were even remotely labeled as Antifa, all the way back from 2000. You better get a lot of help. You better not only pack your lunch, but you better be able to pack a lot of lunches and a lot of meals for your friends. So this is what I'm going to tell you, Chatty Cathy's of Facebook land. Your husband can have one individual come forward from his past, and she can make up this elaborate story. This is what the legal precedence has been set now. She could make up an elaborate story, even though your husband may deny it. Now that this has happened to Bill Cosbi, she can go ahead. She can push forward with the criminal charges. 1, 2, she can bring anybody that she wants to testify against him. And now, since you were so happy that you got the black man down again, he can be testified against. He can be found guilty, just as Bill was. Yeah. Now, you're all wondering, why is this happening? Dano, why would anyone want to destroy America's dad? First and foremost, let me get this out here. Consenting adults take drugs and have sex and all kinds of wild shit all the time. That's life. If you think that that doesn't happen in our country, you've been hiding under a rock your entire life. From well before Woodstock, if you go back to the annals of the Wild Wild West and the Civil War, holy cow, the cats, the ladies, in the crowds that followed the troops during the Civil War, and the things that happened in the camps and the things that cavorted. My God, that's all the way back in 1860. Look, we're in 2018. This shit's been going on for years.
Yeah, we went in a place tonight I didn't know we were going into. I thought we were going to touch on Korea, but that's fine. We can roll with this, but I would like to get into Korea, brother.
We're going to.
Okay.
But this is at the forefront, right, because I have a few people that think that they're smarter than Dano. Because I'm here to tell you something, and I've even fooled Kaiser a couple times. Old man can pull some tricks out of the hat. Right. You think the magician can pull rabbit out of his hat? I'm going to tell you something. I can pull the mommy, the daddy rabbit, and I can pull a rabbit family of additional 12 kids out of that damn hat.
Right.
There's a lot going on up here than what anyone could ever realize. But the problem is this. This is happening. Remember, I said the liberals have despised him, loathed him.
For years.
They've threatened families for years. Yeah. Why would anybody do this to Bill Cosbi?
Right.
Because he's a conservative.
Yeah, he was adored as America's dad. If people look back when we were kids, Fat Albert, everybody from our generation has seen those movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I remember during the, I think it was the 90s was the first time, and I think his show was still going on then, where you were hearing black activists bringing up that, Bill Cosby's cartoon was racist, Fat Albert, because it depicted, but it actually had a positive message if people listened to it. And then him being America's dad, that's what they called him, because we only had 3 channels back then, really, besides, before cable. And, that's during the 80s. And then there's just a lot to it, man. And he was very outspoken. He was also going in and talking to young black men to try to get them to get out off the plantation, the same way Kanye's being attacked along with Candace Owens.
Right.
And so this is systemic. I watched on... See, here's why I feel bad that I didn't know. I would have researched this case, because I'm coming to it with knowing only a couple facts. And
I want to come back. So what I want to do is we're going to come back and we're going to revisit this next Friday.
Okay.
Because I'm steaming, pissed off, mad. And the reason I want to tell you is this. Here's something else Bill Cosby is that the left doesn't like. He's Harvard educated.
Mm-hmm.
He's Ivy League educated.
A doctor of education.
Oh, yeah, doctor of education.
Right.
Busted his ass to get through college. Nobody gave him a free ride.
Right.
He earned it all on. He carried it all, earned it all on his back.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to look at something else, and I want you to think about this in very, very serious terms, because, my brother, we are going to come back and tear this. I'm going to come back next week. I'm going to rip the freaking Band-Aid off the scab, and we're going to go back into this, and I'm going to tell you why. Look at all these white men out here. Pizzagate.
Right.
I know you people know what Pizzagate is. I know what you people know what Father's Flanagan's Boys Home is all about. Out west. I know you do.
The Lolita Express. We can bring up...
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, we can bring up... I don't like the term Pizzagate just because, but I know what you're talking about. But what I'm saying is Epstein, the Haiti abductions that the Clinton Foundation was involved in and covered up with the woman who did it. I mean, these things are fact, and they are going to surface. But like I said, man, I don't feel comfortable with this verdict. It sounds to me like it would have been more fairly represented in a civil court, not a criminal court, since, she's probably still going to try to get, coin out of him. Well, she already got coin out of him. They all got coin out of him to keep their big mouths shut. Yeah. But this is the thing. But this is the other thing I want to drive this to also. What's that idiot over at Virgin Mobile? I'm trying to remember his stupid name. The guy that does the cell phone company and shit. Is it Broyston or Bronstein or whatever the hell his name is? He's a freaky looking dude, man. I know you're talking about, and I'm mind dumping him right now. Branson. Yeah, Branson. So you've got Branson Epstein. You've got the pig Weinstein. Yeah. And then you've got Bill Clinton. Now, everybody, look at me and tell me what is wrong with this situation. You have four very powerful and rich white men who have never been brought to justice in any way, shape, or form. Right. And I'm here to tell you something for a fact. And James will, I'm sorry, and Kaiser's going to stop me if I'm wrong, because he's going to say, whoa, Dana, you can't do that. All four of these men have had police reports filed in some way, shape, or form. Bill Clinton had an $850,000 judgment that he paid out to Paula Jones in the end. But yet nothing, and I mean nothing, has ever been done to him in any way, shape, or form to bring him forward. Harvey Weinstein, the pig, all these actresses, they came out. They started the Me Too. Yeah. They all knew what they were doing. Yeah. Oprah Winfrey, she's no better than the freaking rat. She defended Weinstein. Yeah. Yeah. She recruited these girls for him. The thing with Bill Clinton, man, it's not even just that. Hillary's first case, her legal case, the woman was actually, I can't think of her name right now, was actually on the campaign trail with Trump. And at the debate, one of the debates, and she was
Juanita Broderick.
No. She was there too. I'm talking about the 13-year-old girl that Hillary defended.
Okay, I remember
sexual predators that raped this girl multiple times, did physical damage to this lady, and got, a little girl at the time, a teenage girl, and got the guys off that did it and laughed about it when asked about it while her husband was running for president. And then every time somebody like Paula Jones or somebody piped up and said what happened, there was always Hillary there running what she called at that time the Bimbo Eruption Squad. And that was done with Stephanopoulos, too. So, I mean, you know, there's a lot of unclean hands in that whole sphere. You know, the degeneracy just keeps getting deeper and deeper. But, yeah, like this one, it could be payback. I don't know, man. I mean, that's a lot of supposition, I've got to really do some research because I didn't really deep dive into Cosbi just because I figured... Well, I actually figured it was a civil trial. I didn't even think it was a criminal trial. That's how little I paid attention to because events have been unfolding rather rapidly on a geopolitical level. So the national level I've sort of not been paying attention to, and I'm being very frank and honest. But I will remedy that before the next conversation.
Okay. All right. Hang on just a second because I have someone by the name of Paige. She says, oh, finally got what he deserves. So Paige, tell me, since I know you're out here in Radio Land listening and watching, remember, hearsay was used to convict this black man. My dear, if someone near and dear in your life, someone comes out of nowhere 20, 30 years from ago and says, that individual raped me, and then someone else comes out and says that who's one of their friends says, oh, he did it to me too. Guess what, Paige, my dear? And I'm not going to use your last name because I see you here in the chat. I'm going to tell you something. Your loved one or your man is screwed. And the prosecution, oh my God, this is like a gift for prosecutors. I mean, this is like freaking Christmas.
Right.
They're loving this.
Right.
They're like, we've tried for years to get this. No one has ever gotten it. Do you realize the show trials, the Soviet era show trials that will now take place in our country because of this?
Oh, they already have started that. I mean, the Mueller investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you folks start doing the stupid victory dance, the ignorant dance, and saying, oh, we got him, oh, he got what was coming to him, you need to think really, really long and hard about the ramifications of this and how it affects our justice system overall, because this is ugly. Granted, he can go back on appeal and he can probably win this out, and it can probably be stripped of time served. But this is what I'm going to tell you. Number one, he's 80 years old. Number two, he's legally blind.
Right.
Number three, his chances of surviving in prison are very nil, next to none, all because he dares speak up against the liberals, and that he dares speak out against the plantation, because the liberals have to have ignorant sheeple voters in order to be able to go and try to continue to win. Do you want additional evidence of this in Columbus, Ohio? Look at city council packed full of Democrats down there, and all they do is they play the movie jerk-off jump-up game down there, because they never serve out their full council term. 1. 2, they always get appointed to something else. 3, you never see any of them run for re-election.
It's interesting.
Tell me it's true. It is very true. And between the GOP and the DNC here in Franklin County, they have this thing called uncontested races. We'll go ahead. We'll talk about it next week. We're going to go ahead and follow up on this. And my brother, I did not mean to, run you over with that.
No,
but
you
man,
didn't run me over. I just didn't know much about it, brother, and I'm not going to gripe about it, but I'd just rather have, don't worry about it, man. It's all in the show prep. We'll deal with it next time. Not a big deal.
That is a big deal. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We have burned roughly about, how long have we been on the air, dude? What's my counter say? Nearly a half an hour.
Yeah, mine says 24 minutes.
So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to take a short break. We're going to go ahead and roll a song in here. No commercials tonight.
Well,
Commercials are done.
Okay. Don't worry about it, brother. I'll handle it on my end. I'm going to
Okay, so.
All right.
Alrighty, so we're going to have 5 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute network break here, and that break is going to begin in 3, 2, 1, 0.